Several viewers reached out to our newsroom expressing their concerns over living conditions at Springfield Gardens Apartments.
Western Mass News reporter Kristen Burnell joins us live from Springfield with more. Kristen?
Chris and Mary, I spoke with one mother who lives in one of the buildings. She describes the problems that she is dealing with in her apartment, and she says the property manager is doing nothing to fix them.
My apartment having roaches, mice, black mold, broken stuff, broken tiles, people breaking in inside of the gate, inside of the front door, which there's two main doors. Both of the doors were not safe. I never felt safe in there.
A viewer who wishes to remain anonymous reached out to Western Mass News, expressing concerns about the living conditions in her Springfield Gardens apartment on Pearl Street. She shared these pictures with us, showing areas she is concerned about. She tells us she has filed numerous complaints about the issues with her property manager, but nothing has been done.
Everything is documented. I have reported to the mayor. I have reported to court enforcement. They have become several times over here. I asked for help. I had contacted DCF. I had contacted Wayfinders. I had contacted everybody. They don't seem to do nothing. They seem not to care.
She adds that she is a mother of 4 kids and had to bring her 2-year-old daughter to the hospital recently after noticing alarming symptoms from what she believes is black mold in her bathroom.
I took her to the hospital to see. They came to say that her lungs are seen to a little bit damaged. They're not a little bit damaged, but they're going to get damaged if she keeps breathing all that air that is around in the apartment, which is contamination of black mold.
We did reach out to Mayor Dominic Sarno's office for comment, and we received a statement that reads, quote, Springfield Building and Code Enforcement is aware of the ongoing situation with Springfield Gardens and are taking appropriate action to have Springfield Gardens address these violations at their properties. Additionally, our law department does have open court cases against Springfield Gardens pending before Housing Court, and the mother is pleading for action to be taken.
And I know there's a lot of moms and there's a lot of tenants out there that they need our help. We are one community, we're one family, and we need this management to take action.
We did reach out to the property manager for comment, but we have not yet heard back. For now, live in Springfield, Kristen Burnell, Western Mass News.
Just into our newsroom today, the Senate unanimously passed legislation authorizing $56 million to fulfill the Commonwealth settlement with the families of the veterans who were impacted by the COVID-19 outbreak out at the Holyoke Soldiers' Home. The settlement had previously been agreed to in the class action lawsuit approved by the United States District Court. Senator John Vilas, who represents the city of Holyoke and the Soldiers' Home, introduced the bill on the Senate floor before the vote. The state today releasing the latest COVID-19 data not too long ago. It reports that the current 7-day positivity rate is at just under 7.30%. 18 new deaths are due to the virus, and 77% of all eligible Bay State residents are now fully vaccinated.
Now to a health alert. The Massachusetts Department of Public Health today announced 10 additional cases of monkeypox in adult males within the past 7 days, bringing the total number of monkeypox cases to 31 Massachusetts residents since the state's first case was announced on May 18th. The 10 cases announced today had their diagnoses between June 30th and July 6th after testing was completed. DPH is working with local health officials and patients and healthcare providers to identify individuals who may have been in contact with the patients while they were infectious.
In Springfield, plans are underway for a march and festival on Saturday to stand up against recent violence in the city.
Donnell Wright is the CEO of Inner Vision Empowerment and Consulting Center. That's a nonprofit organization based out of Springfield. He tells Western Mass News why he decided to organize a march against violence in the city of Springfield this weekend.
We are not powerless against gun violence in this city. There are things that can and need and should be done to curb this gun violence.
The march will start at 11 a.m., beginning at the former Aquarius Club and ending at Magazine Park, followed by a festival that will feature various music groups and guest speakers. Coming up, the Massachusetts AG suing more than a dozen manufacturers over contaminated drinking water. A Westfield woman's fight for health monitoring, and what a UMass study revealed about the health risks.
And all we're dealing with this afternoon is warm temps and patchy clouds, and it looks similar for Friday. I'll have your 10-day forecast coming up next.
Attorney General Maura Healey has sued 13 manufacturers of toxic PFAS chemicals used in firefighting foam.
They say the foam has led to the contamination of drinking water sources in communities across the state, including in Westfield.
Kristen Mello welcomes health officials onto her Westfield property.
It will really help to give us more insight as to what other ways we can reduce our exposure.
Exposure to PFAS, toxic chemicals first discovered in Westfield's water back in 2013. Over the next several years, the Westfield Water Department took actions to clean the contaminated water, installing temporary and permanent water treatment facilities. By 2016, the water met all health advisories. Still, Mello has hers delivered.
It doesn't remove everything that I believe will harm me, and therefore I purchase other water.
The contamination is largely blamed on the use of firefighting foam, or AFFF, for training at Barnes Air National Guard Base dating back to the 80s. That foam is the main target of a lawsuit by Attorney General Maura Healey, who said, quote, "For decades, these manufacturers knew about the serious risks highly toxic PFAS chemicals pose to public health, the environment, and our drinking water, yet they did nothing about it." One of the 13 chemical giants she's taking aim at, 3M, said they acted responsibly when it came to the manufacture and sale of AFFF, and, quote, AFFF was a critical tool developed to serve an important need for military service members facing potentially life-threatening challenges. In 2019, testing found some Westfield residents had PFAS levels in their blood up to 4 times higher than the national levels. Mello's levels were still elevated years after the water was mitigated. One of the reasons PFAS are known as forever chemicals.
So we use zebrafish as a model to try to predict human health effects.
Inside the Moral Science Building at UMass Amherst live thousands of fish. Professor Alicia Timilarigi and her team of students use fish embryos to conduct PFAS research.
One of the most striking findings that we have is that the pancreas is incredibly sensitive to these compounds.
Their research found that when embryos were exposed to a sample of AFFF, which polluted the grounds for 40 years before being phased out, the pancreas didn't grow properly.
In some cases, there's kind of a donut shape, and there's sort of this hole in the middle that we don't understand why it's there.
This could make the fish diabetic or unable to digest food. With the embryonic development of zebrafish very similar to humans, the study shows how drinking contaminated water during pregnancy can impact the unborn baby. Studies have linked PFAS exposure to liver damage, thyroid disease, decreased fertility, high cholesterol, obesity, hormone suppression, and cancer.
They suppress the immune response to vaccines. So that makes the vaccines less effective.
This finding was especially concerning over the pandemic. Mello is vaccinated against COVID-19 but has to be extra careful. She's had health issues dating back years, including lung surgery and a series of pneumonia vaccines her body didn't respond to.
It's been this medical mystery for years and years, and it wasn't until I started learning about what was happening with other people in other communities that things started to make sense.
She says more research is needed, and that's why health officials are at her home taking soil and dust samples to test for PFAS.
We need long-term health monitoring. We need medical monitoring.
She says the chemical companies who made the polluting foam should be held accountable, but she's more concerned about continued health care and ongoing mitigation.
We need a connection to an unpolluted water supply, not just a Band-Aid fix that we've got right now.
The Westfield Water Department won an award in 2019 for their PFAS response and say they're, quote, committed to supplying safe drinking water that meets or exceeds all state and federal standards. Mello hopes her push for continued testing will give those affected by PFAS tiny pieces of a puzzle that will take decades to put together.
If they don't record what happens to us, then all of this is in vain, and everyone who's gotten sick, their sickness will be overlooked and forgotten.
We did get an update in the drought monitor today, and not surprising, there really hasn't been much change. If anything, the abnormally dry conditions have pushed westward just a little bit. 98% of the Bay State is under abnormally dry conditions. It's that southwestern corner of Berkshire County. It's really the only spot not under anything. And about 76% of the Bay State is under moderate drought, and that includes most of the Pioneer Valley. So taking a look at your 24, not some great news as we really could use the rain. We really have nothing coming our way. There's a very low risk for showers we continue into tonight. Otherwise, we're partly to mostly cloudy. So if you do get a shower overnight, it should be fairly short-lived, very isolated, and mostly on the lighter side. Now going into tomorrow morning, temperatures will dip into the, I would say, low to mid 60s. It will be on the muggy side. We may start off with some fog, but then skies will turn partly cloudy and temperatures will gradually warm up through the morning. 10 a.m., 76 in Northampton, 76 in North Adams. We'll climb back into the lower and middle 80s for tomorrow afternoon, and a cold front will be dipping down out of the north and west. Now, along this frontal boundary, we could get a stray shower, possibly a very weak thunderstorm, but it's, very isolated, very hit or miss, and even the rainfall that you would see would be very quick and not beneficial. So temperatures are going to get warm tomorrow, 86 potentially Springfield, Westfield, maybe even 87, 88 if we can get enough sunshine out there. We're going to stay on the muggy side straight through Friday evening, and then we'll gradually start becoming less humid as we head into early Saturday. So not much happening here. Looking at, the next 24 hours in the whole, it looks like just a warm and humid day with a slight risk of a shower during the early to mid afternoon. Dew point forecast. Dew points are going to stay on the moderate to high side as we continue throughout Friday. Even into Friday evening, we're still a little bit muggy out there. Patchy clouds and fog may linger into Saturday morning, but the dew points will just continue to drop, and it looks like very refreshing air will stick around pretty much the entire weekend. High temps Saturday, low 80s for the Connecticut River Valley, some upper 70s in the hills, 70s out toward the Cape and Islands with good sunshine. And Sunday looking pretty much the same with some mid 70s out toward the Cape and Islands. We're maybe a touch warmer in the Berkshires, but most will be lower 80s. Now, your next weather maker will approach not until Tuesday evening. That'll be a cold front coming down out of the northwest that could potentially produce some scattered showers and thunderstorms. At this point, too early to say